But really, whatever feelings you're having, anxiety, stress, procrastination, those things are telling you something for a reason. You really have to be tuned into those.
Welcome to How to Real Estate Podcast, a podcast to help you start, elevate, and catapult your real estate investing career. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new podcasts that we post every single Monday. Jared tested.
Jana approved.
Hi guys, welcome to How to Real Estate. This is Jared, and Jana Oman is with me as well. We are really excited. I always say we're really excited, but I really mean it this time. Not to say I didn't mean it before either, but I'm a firm believer of mindset is a crucial part of being successful and being happy. It's all about how we interpret things and how we take things and how we react to certain things. So mindset and the power of law of attraction has always been an important part of my life, especially this past few years when I've went from the 9-to-5 job and into entrepreneur, being my own boss, having multiple companies. And so Tony Robbins talks about the secret to success is 80% mindset and 20% actual skills. So this guest we're having today, she's a phenomenal person, and we're going to be talking about law of attraction. But our guest is a mindset coach, a manifesting expert, creator of Flip the Switch podcast, which you also we'll have a link in the description as well, and author of the book Addicted. She left her safe software engineering job with white-picket-fence lifestyle, and over 10 years ago when she got divorced, sold her home, quit her job, sold her car, jumped on a one-way ticket out of the country the next day, which is just mind-blowing to me. She traveled for several years before she came back and rebuilt her life as a have-it-all coach. I like having it all. That seems good. And helping people heal from their traumas like rape, abuse, manifest their soulmate relationships, can't even talk, and grow and scale their business. She has built a location-independent business, travels 2 to 3 times a year, has manifested her future husband. In her spare time, she competes in bodybuilding. My wife does the same thing, so that's pretty cool. Hangs out with her friends, family, and future husband. She's committed not only to helping you get to the next level, but also truly being fulfilled while doing it. So our guest today is Nichole Carlson. Nichole, we are so happy to have you on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So how did you get into being a life coach and getting into the law of attraction? How did this whole kind of start? I mean, that whole jump from one lifestyle to another, it's pretty incredible.
Well, yeah, it's looking back, it was definitely a journey. I know that my whole life has led me up to being a life coach because I really struggled with relationships, my ex-husband, all of that. And for almost 20 years, I struggled with that. And then I manifested my future husband last year. I struggled with what my purpose was for like almost 20 years. And I started coaching and living my purpose in the last 4 years. And everything, all my failures have led me to living this life, because it wasn't that I took courses or did training that led me here. It was my life experience. And then going through all the struggles, I realized that I had to tell people how to do it without the struggle. So yeah, that was pretty much by living it.
That's awesome. So you focus on manifesting. I mean, can you, I'm sure a lot of people understand the law of attraction and manifesting. Can you give us kind of a dummy's guide? What is the law of attraction? How do we manifest? What is these weird words we're talking?
Well, I have a very logical background coming from software engineering, and I didn't believe in manifesting for so long because I thought it was, just lie on the couch, wish for something, and it shows up. And while there's a part of that, um, it, that's not really how it works. What it is it's mindset, being so determined that you're going to get that thing and being so focused on it. But it has to come from your heart. It has to be, if you will, like soul led or heart led. It has to be a genuine desire. It can't just be some arbitrary thing, an arbitrary goal. Like, I want to make $1 million because I want to prove I'm the best or something like that. It has to be heartfelt, and you have to desire it from a soul level and believe that it's going to happen. So there's a lot of logical things to manifesting that I like to point out because I like to have that structure. But it is really mindset. It is really going after your desires. It is really making your dreams come true.
I really do like the from the heart or from the soul. Like a lot of times we're just like, I want to get a big pile of money to prove everyone that they were wrong when they talked about, you know what I mean? So I think that's kind of I think it's pretty crucial. People that are trying to manifest, they're like, okay, so I want to manifest my next deal in real estate or manifest $1 million, whatever it's going to be. Is there like a daily routine that you recommend that they follow to kind of help them manifest something like this?
I would say that if they can visualize what they want and visualize what it's going to feel like and feel that feeling, that they can make that happen so much faster. If they're coming up against a block, like they're not manifesting what they want, there's probably several reasons for that, but it could be that they want it for a reason, like they have to prove they're better than somebody or prove that they can do it, like prove to their parents, or they're like the intention has to be pure, really, right? Like, I want this because I want to improve my life, and like I want to improve my life and improve the lives of the people around me, that kind of thing.
Would you say that it would be best to have somebody know and try and find themselves first so that they truly know what it is that they desire before they actually start doing the process? Or
Yes. The more you are in touch with your heart and what your heart wants, the more you can manifest. But the problem is, usually we've been hurt. Say it, like, for example, in relationships. I went through a divorce and I was hurt for a very long time, and I carried anger, bitterness, resentment. And so, of course, I couldn't manifest my future husband because I was angry and I was hurting and I had blocked off my heart. So it took a long time for me to figure out that I had done that and that I needed healing and to get in touch with what my heart really wanted. Because for a long time, I thought, I don't want a relationship. I'm not available to get married. So really, you do have to go in and get to know yourself and heal the past, for sure. That's a great question.
So a lot of people, they all obviously want lots of money and the fun life and whatnot, but to really, how does someone get to know what's in their heart if they're not sure? Like, sure, I want to do 100 flips this year, but it's not happening. But how do I really get to know what my real desire is? Is there even a strategy you would use or any ideas?
What I would say, and what I teach my like private clients, is to start with the little things. Basically, go down in your day and say, what are you doing day to day that you don't want to be doing? And what do you want to be doing? I mean, it could be as simple as, I just want to be off at 5 o'clock and go out with my girlfriends and go have fun. I want to go for a walk every day. I want to take a nap. And while these things may, like, if you're trying to flip 100 houses, these things may seem like they're going to get in your way. you're getting in touch with who you are, and the little things make up the big things, right? So if you want your life to be freedom, which is probably why you're flipping houses, if you want money, time, freedom, you have to start incorporating those little things into your life right now and saying yes to yourself in these little ways. And then when your intuition says, hey, call that person, you're in touch with yourself and you can call that person and make that deal happen. But if you're not in touch with your intuition and with your heart, then when your intuition says call that person, you're going to have self-doubt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder, is there like a line where, because a lot of people when they're starting out, even myself, I find myself doing those small things like I watch, whether it's watching a YouTube video or whatever it is, right? So I'm going for a walk, but I really should be making phone calls and trying to find the next deal. Is there like a line where I'm doing too much of not what I should be doing to reach my goals, or is it just kind of I just need to follow my heart, or is there a line? In other words.
There is a balance. We want to make sure that we are not avoiding money and avoiding work, right? For sure. Make those calls. But if you are feeling anxiety, depression, or procrastination, those things come up for a reason. Those feelings are trying to tell you something. Like, maybe this is the first time you've called these type of people, or you're just starting out and you have a little bit of anxiety. Well, of course that's going to happen. So you're going to probably have avoidance. So be aware of those feelings when they come up. And when they come up, sit with them and figure out, is this avoidance? Am I just nervous to make this next call because this is like a really high-end person or a high-level person? Like, what is it about this thing that you're avoiding? And then what do you need to do for the self-care to get to that point to do that? So it could be, okay, I have anxiety, I'm going to go for a walk, and then I'm going to make my calls. So do the thing, don't avoid it. But also, like, what does your body, your soul, your heart need to do the thing?
So once, let's say you do the work and you find what it is you truly desire, and you're like, okay, I know what I want. What is the best way to get started? Is it to find a coach? Is it to read books? Like, how would somebody even come about getting started?
Okay. So probably the thing that you want to do isn't that hard, right? It probably is, like, if you want to make more money, raise your prices, make sure that you're having conversations so that you can sign clients, or whatever your business is. Like, have those conversations so that you can work with people. Like, so whatever it is that you want to do, it's probably not that hard. So what we want to do is, can you repeat the question? Can you repeat the
So
question?
it's more about like, so once somebody knows what they truly desire
Uh-huh.
and they want to practice this law of attraction,
Uh-huh.
how would they get started making their desire come alive through the law of attraction?
Okay. So they set the goal. You have to know exactly what that goal is. And what I like to have my clients do is focus on that thing and take a moment in time where you're in the future, maybe it's like 6 months in the future. Visualize it. Or who are you in the room with? What does it feel like? What are people saying? Like, visualize and pinpoint a time when you know this thing has happened, right? And get to feel that feeling. And then, like, do that like every morning or every night before you go to bed, so that you're like priming your mind, body, and soul. And then listen for your intuition. Like, how do I make this happen? Right? Manifesting is about letting go of how it happens, but like, we also need to be listening to our intuition and then taking action. right? So visualize and then listen to our intuition and take the action that needs to be taken for that day. And honestly, if you're doing this, it's your to-do list is going to like diminish, because you're going to say, okay, like I have all these things that I could do to, let's say, like flip a house, right? You have all these things that you could do, all these people that you could call. But if you're really in tune with your intuition, your heart is going to tell you who exactly you need to call and what exactly you need to say. It's really powerful. And you have to really start fine-tuning these things by telling yourself yes to these little things that you want to do and listening to creating this relationship with yourself, basically.
So with visualizing what you want to accomplish, the goal is in the morning and evening. How do you feel about vision boards and meditation? What's your opinion on those?
I love them. I love visualization, vision boards, and I have one on my computer. That's why I pointed over there. And meditation. I personally like visualization meditation, where I visualize being at that point that I was talking about earlier, where I feel the feelings, because that just it gives you something to focus on during meditation, because my mind wanders. And so I can actually feel that. And it comes so much faster when you do that.
So rather than being quiet in a traditional meditation, you're visualizing what you want in life or what your desire is, and that's kind of what you focus on throughout the meditation.
Yes, but I would say do whatever works for you, right? If you like meditation and that works for you, then do that. But the whole point of meditation is really to disconnect from your current reality. So if you're living in a shack and you're not making any money, it's to disconnect from that reality and go to infinite possibilities. And it's so hard when you're looking at your bank account and you're seeing like it's negative and you're like, I'm going to be a millionaire. It's hard to believe that. So meditation is about disconnecting from that reality and your negative thoughts, like, oh, I'm stuck, this isn't going to happen, all of that, and being able to flip the switch and go into your future reality and bring that to you. The more you can live in this future reality, the more you can visualize it and see it and feel it, the closer it is to you, because this reality already exists. It already exists because your desires are given to you for a reason. Your dreams and desires are given to you so that you can create those things, because they already exist. You just have to call that in, and you have to take the steps to make that happen.
Can you when you have this desire and you're working on the manifestation and things like that, can you have a deadline? Can it be like by age 30 I'm going to accomplish this, and like you're a year away?
Yes, you can. But that doesn't always work, right? I've done that before, where I said I was going to be at my last software engineering job. I was like, after this date, I'm going to be gone. And I was gone a week before that date. And I was like, oh, wow, totally happened, right? But when you set a date, you're creating an attachment to the thing, right? Now you can set a date and then let it go. Like I did with my last software engineering job. I set a date and then I looked back and I was like, oh, wow, I totally made that by a week. So you have to detach from the date. You have to detach from the thing that you want. You can't be like grasping in desperation at the thing. Like, say you want to flip 3 houses. If you're desperate and you're showing up desperate, and you have a date, then that's gonna that energy is gonna be given off, and you're gonna actually repel the thing that you want. So yes, you can have a date, but relax around it. Just trust that that's gonna be there. I like to have a date and be like, okay, this is totally gonna happen. Done. And then take the action that I need to take to make that happen.
So a lot of people, they focus on the steps and like, oh, I got to do this, this, and that in order to make this thing happen. But once we put it out to the world, out to the universe, that I want to flip 3 houses this month or whatever it may be, not necessarily, we shouldn't necessarily worry how that's going to happen. Like we should listen to our intuition, but we should let the chips fall where they lie. Right. And so not so much focusing on all the little bit, oh, well, if I don't do this, then I'm not going to do this, but just trust the universe, I used to say, or trust yourself, trust your intuition, and follow what you actually feel you need to do. And is that kind of like the mindset we need to have? Is that right?
Yes. Because yeah, we don't worry about the how. Now, what I like to do as a logical person is I like to have a money goal, figure out how it could possibly happen so that I can build my belief, right? Because the belief in it is what's so important. Because if you don't have the belief, you're not going to take the action, right? So I like to do well, I could get this many clients and this could happen and this can happen. So I have a bunch of different ways that I can allow 20,000 in this month, right? And then I've built my belief that that's possible. And then I don't have to worry about the how. I can let go of the how, and I don't chokehold it. Right? What we do is we hang on to a strategy to get that 20K, and then we don't let that thing happen. And then when we fall short, we get really discouraged, but we weren't trusting ourselves and our intuition the whole way anyway. So it really backfires.
I have a question. So when we're manifesting something, when we have that goal, do you recommend to keep that goal in a somewhat something? So for example, if my entire life I've only made $30,000 a year or whatever it may be, but then I set a goal, I want to manifest $1 million in my subconscious, like this, it's constant, like that's not even a real thing. So would it be better to maybe something that's stretch, but still somewhat feasible in your mind actually might happen? Like maybe I'm going to manifest $100,000 instead of $1 million, because that's a lot closer than, or I shouldn't put that limit. Or what do you suggest?
What I would suggest, I love the way how you're saying it. Like, should I work up to that amount, right? If you feel a resistance, you have to remove that resistance. So if going up gradually removes that resistance for you, then that's what you need to do. Now, there are some people like rappers who go from trailer homes to, millions of dollars, right? And if you are in that network of people where you're hanging out with a bunch of other rappers who have done that, then maybe there isn't that resistance, because you're like, well, I'm hanging out with Eminem. I'm also a rapper. I can totally do that, right? So there's probably not a resistance there to making that much money. So it does depend on how you feel about it internally, and if you're feeling resistance, and then who you're hanging out with. So definitely remove that resistance by hanging out with, the 5 people you hang around the most, right? That's what your income is going to look like. So up-level yourself in that way, and then allow yourself to gradually go up. Or, like you said, pick a number and say this or something better.
I like that, or something better. I like that a lot. That's good.
So I have a question about the 5 people that you keep around you. You know how they always say, your net worth is, the total of the people that you're around. What if you have a friendship with one of them that's been a while. I mean, can you grandfather a person in? Because that seems, for people that don't understand that, they kind of would think, well, these are my friends. I've hung around with them for so long. I really don't want to be replacing my friends every time I want to grow my income. What advice could you give those type of people that just can't see ahead or are thinking that way? Like, I don't want to keep changing my friends every single time I want to increase my income.
What I would say is you don't have to let go of your friends, but you do have to add friends that are at the same vibration, right? Going the same place as you are, right? So there's always room for more friends, and our closest friends should be supporting where we're at. Either, not necessarily like helping us, but talking about the same level of income or talking about the same kind of things. Like, be open to the new friends and be around those people. And that's what I've done. Like, I've joined masterminds and I've set intentions to up level with these people and then bring them into my circle. Because that's how you grow, right? And we never want to be like, okay, I'm done with you. Out.
Thanks,
right?
I'm upgrading.
I've upgraded today. You're out. So we don't want to feel lost. But what's going to naturally happen is those old friends will distance themselves if they don't want to be going the same place you are. So allow that to happen, because that's just going to happen.
So I have another question on a little side subject, but is self-sabotage a thing? And if we feel like that's actually happening, how can we avoid that?
Self-sabotage is definitely a thing. It's resistance. It's resistance to enjoying our lives, being happy, all these things that we want, right? It's just resistance. And how we can avoid that is figuring out where the resistance is coming from, right? Listen to your heart, listen to your intuition, sit with those feelings. And then I would say get a coach, get support, get someone who believes in what you're doing and that can support you through that. Or get those peers that are going in the same direction, that are talking about those things, right? Or like, look at the resistance and then figure out what you need to do to work with yourself, because you're creating a relationship with yourself. If you're resisting something, you need to talk to yourself to figure out what that is. So maybe for some people, it's getting on stage, right? So what are some steps that you can take to get yourself on stage? Well, improv, acting classes, get on podcasts, and then work on your message and then get on stage, right? So there's steps that you can take if you're having resistance, if you're self-sabotaging. But really, whatever feelings you're having, anxiety, stress, procrastination, those things are telling you something for a reason. You really have to be tuned into those.
To backtrack a little bit, but with vision boards, is there a certain way that we should actually do a vision board? Is there certain, and can you explain a little bit for people that have no idea what the heck even a vision board even is? Can you give us a little more information on that and how to actually set one up correctly?
Well, there is really no correct way. I would just say follow your heart. Put things on your vision board that light you up, make you happy, and you just do it in different areas of your life, right? So relationships, money, your health, all those different areas. And then just look through magazines, and when it feels good, you put that on your vision board. And what I've done is I just created one from Pinterest, and then I just took a snapshot of it and stuck it in. Yeah.
That's a good idea. I was using Photoshop and I'm like, this is taking me too long.
Yeah, I just did Pinterest, and I'm just like, it's there.
That's a great idea. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, of course.
I just Googled images all day long and just printed everything and actually made a board.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I like the idea of having the digital version because it's there available for, you can have it as your desktop background, you can have it as on your phone, anywhere, and so you're always constantly seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it depends on the person too. If somebody wants to have a big poster, they can do that. Like there's no right way or wrong way to do it, right?
There isn't. Put things just as long as you're following your heart and it feels good when you put the picture up there. If it's triggering you, probably you need some healing there, and probably don't put that on your vision board, right? Don't put those on your vision board. That's resistance. You probably need to get a coach or, work around that stuff. But really just things that make you feel good and light you up, and then allow yourself to say yes to those things every single day.
I'm going to divert a little over to what you did. I think last year, I think you set your goal to find your perfect man. Was that? And you don't have to go into detail. I'm just curious. Did you have a vision board with like skills and characters?
Okay. The picture of Brad Pitt.
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, my story is super, well, I guess not that unique because a lot of people are like, this is my story too. So in 2017, I was just out of my third serious relationship and I was done. I was like, I'm going to figure out relationships. What was I, 41 then, I think. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out. I don't care. Like, I'm gonna figure out relationships. So my ex and I had broken up, and we went to counseling for 7 months because after we broke up, because it's not about the person you're with. It's about fixing that problem, right? And usually we're like, well, I don't want to be with this person. I'm not going to work on my relationship now. Obviously, we broke up. But if you look at the problem, that thing needs to be fixed, right? It's not about the other person. It's about that problem. So we went to counseling for 7 months and we got our relationship back, the love, the trust, all of that. And he ended up moving to Germany on like after 7 months of work. And I was just like, okay, honest. And here's the thing with relationships. We think that it's really hard because we don't know if this is what love is supposed to feel like. And we settle for these relationships that look good on paper, or, this makes sense that we're together. He's like this and I'm like this and we match, right? But that's not a soulmate connection. And somewhere deep down inside of both of us, we knew that we weren't soulmates and we called it, right? So he went to Germany, which was my dream. That's just a whole nother story. We were supposed to go together. And I was here in Austin. And I ended up after, I guess like 6 months, I ended up falling in love with this guy that I had known for 4 years. And like in love. It's like, okay. And I'm like, and I knew that he loved me. And obviously I was like, I love you. You love me. We should be together. But I kept getting a hard no. I'm sorry. I'm not ready for a relationship.
He would give you a hard no, or you would give him a hard no?
He gave me a hard no.
What?
And I was like, what is going on? I know you love me. And I was just like, this is ridiculous, right?
You're getting offended at that point.
I was. So then I kind of let it go and I started dating at the beginning of 2000. 19 for like a hot second. And I was like, this is a disaster. Obviously, I'm not supposed to be dating, because it was like one date and I was like, this is not working. Nope. One date. No, it's not working. And the universe was trying to give me a sign. And I was like, what is this sign? And so it was May 31st when I figured out what the sign was. And I'd been in love with this guy for a year. And I was like, okay, the universe is trying to tell me that, and this is part of manifesting, being able to see what the universe is telling you. It's not like seeing 444 and thinking, oh, I need to like go invest in something or something. I don't know.
Right.
I don't believe in those kind of signs. I believe in like, what is the feedback you're getting, right? And then being able to read that and adjust, and then adjusting internally, and then everything changes. So May 31st, I was like, okay, what is going on? I'm getting all these very short-term relationships, one date. It's not even a relationship. And I realized that inside of me, I didn't want a relationship. And I realized that I didn't want marriage. And I had to make a decision, which was really hard for me because I never wanted to get married again. I didn't believe in it. And I had to decide to believe in marriage, and that I was wanting a relationship. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, well, I want to manifest this guy. Right. And
Build-A-Bear.
like, it's like steps, right? I'm like, okay, well, I believe in marriage now. Like, it was just like, I believe in marriage. Okay. This is happening. And then I wrote out in my journal that I wanted to marry this man. Like, I'm so grateful to be married to this man, right? Put his name in. And in my head, I said, this guy or someone better, which I was like, well, there's no one better, but whatever. Right. And then I visualized for 3 days. Like, I laid in my hammock, which I have a hammock here in my dining room, which all single women should have.
Wow, that is awesome.
So I laid in my hammock for 3 days and visualized, felt the feeling of him proposing, us getting married, us living together, and it was all on a beach, right? So the 4th day, I went to the gym, and on my way to the gym, he was at the gym. I stopped by my my mailbox, and I pulled out this $5 fashion jewelry ring for my bodybuilding competition that I happened to order. And I bring this ring to the gym and I show it to him, and he takes the ring and goes to one knee. And I'm like,
What is he doing?
That's not a beach. What's he doing?
and I'm like, not breathing, because I am not the marrying type, or was not, right? And he is 10 times more not the marrying type. So he wouldn't even joke around like that. And so I'm like, holy God, what's happening? Right. So then he says, after I get my breath back, what are you doing tomorrow? What? So out of character. So he comes over the next day and he says,
Sorry, I back up. So he was on one knee. He had the ring, and all he asked you is, "What you doing tomorrow?"
no, that he gets back up, and then
Oh, okay.
we work out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, wait, what? You went out with him after that?
After the end of the workout, he said, what are you doing tomorrow? And then he comes over the next day. Okay. And then he says, wherever you go, I'm going to follow you. Well, I'm not breathing because I know we're supposed to be in Hawaii on a beach. And I know all this is taking place on a beach, right? And I know we're in Austin, which has no beach. And so I'm like, what? How is this happening? And we've been together since. And he said weird things to me that I've never had anyone say, like, I want to marry you. I'm going to marry you. I'm like, whoa. It's super weird. And I'm still like how did
Has he seen the vision board or did you tell
yes,
him about that? He didn't get freaked out or anything? Like,
it
what?
was
So this is voodoo, not love?
it's super weird. About a month later, I didn't tell. I was so in shock that I didn't tell anyone for a month. Like no one. I was like, a month later, I said, I know that I manifested you, and I've told you that I've manifested you, but how do you think you showed up in my living room? And he said, I've been thinking about that, and I have no idea. Holy crap. What? Yeah. So,
Oh, voodoo is what you're saying.
but the thing of it, here's the thing. Here's the keys. I had to believe, well, it had to be built on love, right? My heart, his heart. I couldn't have manifested somebody that didn't want, I knew he was in love with me. Like I had no doubt, right? I couldn't manifest somebody who was married to somebody else or something like that, right? So it had to be a heart connection. And I had to believe in it enough to manifest it and hold that vision. So if you want that car and you're like, that car, I want to flip 3 houses so I can get that car, whatever that is, you have to believe in it enough. And yeah, your heart can want a car. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You're here to enjoy your life, not to like be frugal and scrape by and see how little you can spend. You're here to enjoy your life. So that means you get to have your dreams, desires, and goals.
That's not how I envisioned you manifesting your your soon to be husband. But
I
like
didn't
after 4
either,
days.
but that's the how, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you are really connected and you visualize and you feel the feeling, you collapse time and space. Because it wasn't even let's date and see how this goes. It was, hey, I'm here for the whole thing. I'm 100%. It wasn't any dating, let's see how it goes. We skipped. Like we did a quantum leap.
I do want to ask one thing about, not to backtrack again, but you mentioned a few times when we're having these blockage, if we're having trouble overcoming them, on our own method, whether we're trying to internalize, you mentioned a few times, like get a coach and so they can kind of help you walk you through the process. I find that, and I've hired multiple coaches in the past 3 years. I spent more money than my wife wanted me to spend on coaches to get me where I wanted to be. What I find is, and this is why I'm going to ask you. So I find is that the marketplace is saturated with coaches. I mean, just to give an example of there's some really amazing, like I had a coach, I paid him $10,000 for 10 sit downs. At the end of the sit downs, I told him I owed him more money because I got more value than I paid him. I didn't pay him more money. I just told him I owed him more money. I didn't pay him though. But so on the other hand, though, I've seen people where, not necessarily mindset, but like I've seen, like on Facebook, I had someone like, oh, I just started my first podcast. A month later, oh, I'm starting a coaching program for podcast people who wants to learn how to do podcasts. Like, you don't even know what you're doing. Like, so there's a lot of people, even with in all facets of coaching, there's a lot of those imposter coaches, to be honest. So how would you recommend finding a coach? Like, just say they want to book you or someone else that's locally. How do we sift through the fake coaches to the real ones?
Okay. So I feel like everyone has value to give. So I'm not going to say like there's a fake coach, or like, even after I started a podcast for a month, I knew things that I could tell my friends. Right. And I think the important thing is, so I'm not going to badmouth any coaches or even fake coaches or whatever. But I think the important thing is knowing yourself well enough and taking responsibility for where you are and hiring a coach from that place. Because whenever I hire a coach, I know myself. I know what I need. And I know that it's not, okay, even if I hire like a strategy mindset coach, right? I know it's not the strategy that I need. I know it's the mindset. I know it's the mindset support that I need. So I'm not putting trust in the coach. I'm not putting trust in the strategy. I'm putting trust in myself and taking responsibility for where I am. And that's really hard when you really need money, when you really need to heal from your past trauma with relationships, when you really need something to happen with your health, right? When you're really struggling, it's hard to take responsibility from like where you are and be like, I need help. And this coach, you know, and like put trust in a coach, right? Because you do, your coach should show up for you, and your coach does. If I find that people want the best for you, they try really hard, right? But you do have to take responsibility for where you are, and you have to trust your intuition. I've had a lot of people that I know that I can help them. I know that their lives will radically change, and they don't trust themselves enough to invest in the coaching. And really, they're investing in themselves. And that's okay, because that's where they are. But you're really going to have this relationship of trust with yourself and knowing what your intuition is really saying. You can't just desperately throw money at a coach and think that you're going to get a result.
Yeah, you're not buying the mindset.
Mm-mm.
It's not like you can just go to a coach, here's my money, and like download it into your head. That's not how it works. People have to take responsibility for what they're doing, you know, especially if they're going to be investing money like that, they should put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where a lot of people don't, you know, that's where they stop, or they say, oh, that program didn't work, but that's because they weren't putting in the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I have been at a place where I hired a coach for 4 months for $25,000 so that I could be making 20K months. And during that 4 months, I made zero. And you know what? I would not have taken that investment back, because she changed my life, and I am where I am now because of her. And I reinvested in her like a year and a half. Like I just got done with another coaching session with her, right? So I took responsibility for where I am and where I was. And I knew that the results didn't necessarily translate to financial results right away. She changed my life. So, and I trust myself. I would go back and still do the same investment.
That's some good advice. And I think if we're, so there's so many options of coaches out there, and if someone is willing to invest money in themselves and get a coach, they really should just they can have conversations with them and have a good feeling of what they can possibly do, and actually the program that they're offering. I think that's going to be a good way, and listen to their intuition, and maybe put a coach on their vision board. I don't know, but that's really cool. So let me ask you one question, Nichole. So let's just say I have a time machine, and don't tell anyone, it's a secret, but I have a time machine, and I'm going to put you in it, and I'm going to take you back 10 years. And so you are going to talk to Nichole that just barely got divorced. She's about to leave her engineer job, and you can give one word of advice. What would that be? That's a big question.
One word of advice.
Yeah.
Well, I've done this the other way, where I visualize myself 10 years in the future, and like, but I haven't done this way. I don't know. I think trust myself and slow down are the two things that really come to my mind. But I still don't think that would be enough. Right?
Yeah. I imagine you want to have like a 10-hour conversation, of course, but yeah.
Well, it's just like reading an inspirational quote. That quote means nothing because it's taken out of context. How do you apply that inspirational quote to your life?
Yeah.
Like daily, if you're getting up with anxiety, how do you apply that? What does that mean? What do I do today? You know? And that's just so difficult. That's why when I work with my clients, like I'm an intuitive coach and I know what's going on before they do. Right? So I can tell them where that resistance is coming from and what they actually need to do and like why it's there, And so because I've been all the places that they've been, I've struggled with all the things that they like I already know. I know what you're going to say. So it's really hard to apply things to your life. And I've had my clients message me and say, I know the answer is self-love. What do I do? Like, yeah, let me tell you exactly what that means in this situation.
No, it's really good. Yeah, it's a tough question to answer anyways. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So it's been phenomenal having you. Where can our listeners get a hold of you? We're going to have this information in our show notes as well, but where's a good place for them to get a hold of you, whether they want to ask questions or maybe looking for another coach, or where would they go?
They can go to my website, NicholeCarlson.com, but I would recommend them going to my Facebook page and connecting with me there, because that's where I do all my Facebook Lives. That's where I put out like everything, all my content goes on Facebook on my personal page. So I would go there first and then ask me questions there.
That's beautiful. Awesome. Do you have anything else you wanted to ask her, Jana?
No, I think it's been great. She had, Nichole, you shared a lot of great information and a lot of great tips for not only the listeners, but me. I took a lot of notes. So I appreciate your time and sharing all that information with us.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good information. I think a lot of our listeners, and myself included, I got a bunch of notes too, I was taking down too, is going to get a lot of good stuff out of it. And if any one of our listeners are watching this on YouTube, make sure that you like and subscribe. If you're listening to this on any of the podcast formats, make sure to subscribe in that platform, and also give us a rating. It really does help us out, and give us a share too on your social medias. We want to help as many people as we possibly can. So thank you guys. We love you.
Thank you guys.
We hope you liked that podcast. Stay tuned for next Monday for a brand new podcast and a brand new guest. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.